The spine coming out of the pelvis away from the back of the chair, unless you really need the support of the back of the chair, so that you're in a balanced, dignified posture. I tend to follow my breath down in the belly and giving ourselves over to it. Actually, as if our life depended on it. Falling into wakefulness. Just being present with no agenda whatsoever other than to simply be here and attend to the breath flowing.
The whole notion that meditation was a big mystery, like you had to climb to the top of a mountain and go and, cross your legs a certain way, and it was all really sacred. And I think the whole demystifying of it is what really was a big thing for me when I took this course. And I sort of find myself very careful about who I talk to about it, because I think people really have a preconceived notion that it's really kind of airy-fairy, and you say you're going to go meditate and they kind of look at you funny, like, wow, must be nice to have that kind of time.
Communing with the bird.
Yeah, and I think that part was very empowering, was to know that, it's simple.
I feel a lot happier. I mean, for an Englishman.
Well, that's quite extraordinary.
This is very unique.
Say more about that, Jon.
Well, I don't want to give away too many secrets, but
No,
I think it has something to do with meditation, knowing myself, being comfortable, but not dwelling on things, hanging on to things. All of the things that you wrote about and that you've taught, that they're very helpful for living.
There is a certain kind of discipline to this, because if you watch carefully, you'll see that a lot of the time we are cultivating mindlessness. We're actually cultivating anger, we're cultivating anxiety, we're cultivating all sorts of mind states of impatience and irritability and sadness and sometimes depression, because practice makes perfect. If we spend large amounts of time being angry, guess what? We get better at being angry.
When I feel myself getting impatient, and when I can actually sit with it and step over that impatience, there's a whole world of just incredible insights that, I have access to now. And so when I get impatient, I just remember about that, and I'm able to step back, and it's brought me compassion for myself, in that when we're to stay within our breath, and when I find myself going away, as we all do many times in a sitting, for me, that it's okay, that it's fine that happened, where in my life I haven't had a lot of compassion for myself and things that I do.
I often, when I'm teaching meditation, will use a tennis ball and just remind people that they can drop into the breath virtually at any time. So it's not just like when you're doing some kind of formal meditation practice. That's the least interesting part of meditation. The real interesting part of meditation is that your whole life becomes a meditation, that you're here for all of it, and you're able to be with it with a little less reaction, a little less judgmental, and in that way, these hidden dimensions and opportunities and options appear to us, and we can navigate with much greater wisdom and with much greater self-compassion in our own lives, and deal with the full catastrophe of the stress, the pain, and the illness that is inevitably going to come up, because we're human, and we have bodies, and we're mortal, and we are subject to huge forces that we really have no control over.
It helped me to really look at how so much of the time I'm doing things for other people, being the nurse manager and being the caretaker and always wanting to make sure everything's fine, but really not spending a lot of time and care on myself. And so the meditation really helped me to learn to focus inside and to really get a sense of peace about myself, and to learn to put myself first instead of last. What I found is that when I really started to pay attention to my body and my emotions and what I was feeling, that when I was really stressed or angry or those were the times I tended to eat the most, and the most high fat, high sugar types of things. And so it helped me to really slow down and say, okay, as before I put the muffin in my mouth, I go, okay, well, what's going on? What am I feeling? Why do I feel I have to eat this muffin? I go, oh yeah, I'm really angry at this person, so this is why I'm wanting to stop this muffin. It has enabled me to lose 55 pounds over the last 6 months or so.
Slowly something starts to grow, and it's a lot more interesting than a bicep. What's growing is the capacity for stability and calmness of mind. This is almost like foreign to us. We should be learning this in elementary school or in kindergarten, that we can actually modulate and regulate our states of mind, not only so that we're in some kind of awareness of our thoughts and feelings, but a lot of the times our feelings, our emotions, hijack us completely, and we just spiral out of control in one way or another. Then the gates come down, and we start to see everything through our depression, our anxiety, our tremendous fears of what might happen if, oh, I could never do that because, or what will people think of me if I'm myself? And we start to edit and censor ourselves so that we're not the fullness of who we are. We leave ourselves at home, so to speak. If you see life as the meditation practice, then every moment becomes a new opportunity for you to be present. But there is an element of discipline because, guess what? One moment you think, oh, yeah, great idea. I saw this television show. I'll be mindful now. For the rest of my life, I'm just going to be mindful with my children, with my parents, with myself, with my body, with my colleagues at work, with nature. Yeah, sure. 1 minute you have that intention, the next moment, bingo, you're off on some trip or other. That's not a problem. The question is, can you notice that the mind went off? The mind goes off, you bring it back. That's the discipline. If you can do it once, you're there. You're here, this moment, just as it is. That is the core of the meditative traditions, the discipline, and everything else. Are you willing to actually notice what's going on in your mind, that it waves just like the ocean? It comes, it goes, it's here, it's there. Virtually everything at some point or other goes through your mind and carries you off. Can you come back to an awareness of the breath, of your body, of what's on your mind, so that you know the mind goes off, you bring it back. The mind goes off, you bring it back. The mind goes off, you bring it back. The mind goes off, I don't want to bring it back. I'm getting sick and tired of this. This is really boring. Guess what? You bring it back anyway, just for fun, just to see what would happen if you brought it back anyway. It's like working with a weight. You know, if you want this muscle to grow, you work against resistance. You let the weight go out, then you bring it back. You let the weight go out, you bring it back. It feels a little heavier the second time. You let the weight go out, you bring it back. I don't want to bring it back. My muscle's starting to hurt. This is boring anyway. Show me something else. Now, the body scan that we practice and teach people in the stress reduction clinic is the first formal meditation practice that we teach, because even if you have a chronic pain condition or can't sit up, most people can lie down, and if not on the floor, then in bed. And if you're lying on the floor, of course, one should have a good, pad cushioning for yourself.